Okay, great. Thank you everyone for your patience. Again, this is Matt from Vetter Software, and I appreciate everybody coming to January 31st office hours. Uh, I went ahead and I muted everybody just because I pick up all kinds of background noise from your clinic, and you'd be amazed all the things that I can hear. If you have any questions, please go ahead and send them in via chat, or at the very end of the meeting, then we can unmute the mic and you can ask me that way too. Now, speaking of asking me things, hopefully some of you will be going to NAVC, although now they call it VMX, I guess the new sexy millennial name. Throw an X in there, right? In Orlando, beginning, I think, Saturday or Sunday, I think February 3rd through 7th. Vetter will be there. We're booth 2638, or just look on your little guide wherever we are, it'll give you a map. Please feel free to come by to the booth and meet us, ask questions, yell at my CEO, whatever you'd like to do, or find me at the hotel bar during the Super Bowl, and share an adult beverage with me. So I hope to see some of you guys there. We'll also be at Western Veterinary a month later in Las Vegas, so maybe we might meet up then. So for today's office hours, I'd like to briefly just give a verbal overview of some of our recent integrations, and then we're going to cover inventory uses. Always good to review it. So in the last month, we have covered, or I should say the last 6 weeks, we've covered in office hours 3 recent integrations. One is actually 4 integrations, actually. One was the QuickBooks integration, which is probably by far the most important because it's something that almost every clinic uses in the modern world. So again, that's our integration with QuickBooks Online. We don't integrate with QuickBooks Desktop primarily because A, it's not technologically possible because it's a server-based local program, but B, also because, right, we are a cloud-based program. We would obviously like to encourage people to go to the cloud. And QuickBooks, just so everybody knows, QuickBooks will be end-of-lifing its desktop version in the next couple of years, as will many software programs. They're all going to go to the cloud. And remember what that integration does is that every hour it's going to, well, first of all, I'm sorry, back up. It's going to sync your client and inventory list into QuickBooks. And then every hour it will update that list and import every financial transaction from a payment to a credit to a return to a refund, etc. That will all be in your QuickBooks account. And specific setup instructions I have put in the customer community. Then we also last week unveiled our latest credit card integration with Card Connect, a much better option than our previous integrations with Stripe and Authorize.net. Bottom line, economically, it's going to save you money. It's free to use within Vetter, and Card Connect will meet or beat any quoted rate you have for a Vetter customer. I also need to apologize, and I sent this out in the email, that I was mistaken when I said that a terminal would be free with an annual agreement. That is, as I've been told, not up for me to decide. That is part of, when you're negotiating and speaking with Joseph from Card Connect, that is their purview, not my purview. And I apologize for that error. I'd like to blame it, as I said in the email, on North Korea or ISIS, but I got to fall on the sword for this one. Okay, the advantage of the credit card integration, besides saving you money, is 1, it allows you to manage our wellness plans with automatic payments. 2, it enables you to bill clients online, where they can receive an invoice from you. They click on Pay Now, and they fill in their payment information. Your account is credited. And 3, it allows you, and I think this is by far probably the most important one in the long term, It allows you to use a key-in credit card process. The first time a client comes in with the integration, you key in their card information. It is then stored in Vetter. The second time the client comes in, simply by their name being on the invoice, and then you choose payment type, and you choose card on file, it automatically populates the payment information. Only the last 4 digits of the card, mind you, for security reasons, but then all you do is hit save and done, payment processed. It will save time significantly, whether over a terminal or any other option moving forward. So that's one of the 3 key advantages to the credit card integration. And if you're interested in that, let me know. I will put you in contact with Joseph from Card Connect, who handles these things. He's my counterpart there. Other integration, Vetstoria's online appointment booking integration. We featured that a few weeks ago. Allows your clients to book appointments online. Vetstoria configures your website. Essentially, they're a third-party intermediary. People go to your website, it says book online. They configure it for you. And then Vetstoria sits between Vetter and your website. And Vetstoria will then essentially import that data. And they ask a number of questions, right? All kinds of client information and everything. And they will put it into wherever you have open slots indicated. And then that will then appear. You go on next morning, you open your account, look at the calendar, and you could have 5 or 6 appointments filled in overnight. We know statistically that, especially for millennials, more and more people are booking online. It's an expectation that people have. So that's worth taking a look at. And again, that's with Vetstoria. And if you're interested, again, I'll have them let me know. I'll have them reach out. And the other integration we covered, it's been a busy 6 weeks, was PawPrint, which is our client portal integration. And PawPrint allows, it's a mobile app. I use it. It's pretty cool. And, please stop screen sharing. Stop screen sharing. Sorry. I need my screen back. I thank you. You guys have figured out how to take my power away. Well done. And the other, what PawPrint does is, right, it allows from a mobile phone, allows them to access, the client accesses your website, and from there they can view their patient's records. Again, like Vetstoria, PawPrint is an intermediary, a third-party intermediary between Vetter and your website, okay? And coming up with PawPrint, what's also really exciting, we're going to feature them later this month. PawPrint has now appointment confirmation options. So literally, you can also use that process to, click 1 for yes, click 2 for no. It'll send text messages out to your clients for appointment confirmations. So at Vetter, we've decided to, if we build everything ourselves, it will take too long. We've chosen our partners very carefully. These are great products, very affordable. I manage all these relationships, and we've decided when necessary and where applicable, Vetter will be able to provide a better service if we can leverage our software in conjunction with someone else's. So if you're interested again in, the QuickBooks is free integration, but the other 3, PawPrint, Vetstoria, and Card Connect, you manage that by speaking with the individual reps. If you're interested, let me know and I'll put you in touch. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to do a screen share now, and I'm going to cover inventory uses. And I've gone ahead, you should see my screen, and I'm going to pause really quickly to see if there are any questions about the integrations I reviewed. No, we're looking good. All right. So let's take a look here at inventory uses. Now, I have to admit that I've demoed these so many times that I've run out of vaccines, right, to kind of merge and create parent and children items. So I'm left with my last two separate items. I'm going to use the Defensor Rabies. And here's a 10-dose tank. And as you can see, it has a 36-month or 3-year reminder. I also have another Defensor I'm going to use, the 51-dose versions. We had it as a 1-year option, right, for 12 months. Now, so speak from what I know from the veterinary world and having spoken to many of you, right, most vaccines come in, one tray, be they 1 year or 3 years. I know one clinic of ours, High Desert, right, they're down in Arizona, they do a lot of rattlesnake vaccinations, and I guess with rattlesnakes, it's like literally 30 days, 60 days, 120, 6 months. There's a series of 6 vaccines. And so previously in Vetter, you would create 6 different items, right? Rattlesnake vaccine next to 1 month, 2 months, right? 6 months, etc. Same thing you did with rabies. You'd create multiple items, even though you're pulling them from the same tray or supply or lot number. And that made inventory management, a little bit more difficult. So we created the inventory uses option as a way to make this management easier. And so conceptually, think of it as follows. The rabies vaccine itself is the parent item. The individual 1 and 3-year doses, those are the children, okay? So in this case, I have, looks like I have 109 on hand of Defensor, and I'm gonna open up multiple screens here, just so we can do them side by side, kind of make it easier to look at. And so here we have 200 on hand, okay? And so one of the first things we want to do is we can merge the 2 items together, right? We have the sales history here of the 10-dose tank. We have the sales history here of the 50-dose or the 50 times 1 dose tank, and let's merge these together. And so since this seems to have more records in here, I'm going to merge this one, the 10-dose tank, into here. Okay, so I'm going to say merge item, and I'm going to pick the other Defensor, and here it is. So now the merge into, it'll adopt this name. It's going to this is what it's going to be. The sales history and all these things will carry over, but just so you know, it's going to merge everything together. It's under this name. We can always change the name later. I'm going to hit merge all records. We want to merge them all together. And this takes a moment to do. And they're successfully merged. Notice our balance went up, right? It combined the 2 balances. We had 109 and 201. Now there's 310, right? It combines the sales histories, right? It's going to combine the purchase history. It's going to bring everything together, okay? So at least you have everything still there. Now, granted, the only thing you don't know from looking at this, you don't know if it was the 1-dose or the 10-dose version. You don't know that, but you have the historical invoices where you could look at this, okay? So they're all merged. The purchase history will be merged. The adjustments are merged. So now this, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. And now we have this all together. I'm going to pause quickly, see if there are any questions on what I did there. No? Okay, good. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and rename this. So right now, first of all, it kept the reminder of 12 months. And notice there's no children here. We're going to make this the parent. And I'm going to just call this, let's just say, Defensor Rabies. Boom. Done. Now, I'm going to remove the next due. I'm going to hit none here because we're no longer prescribing this item because we're going to create children. Ooh, quite the markup. I like that. And boom. And let's make the just for vial, I guess vial. I like to prefer to use injection to be more thorough. And I hit save and done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 children, new uses. Okay? And so I'm just going to say defensor, rabies, 1 year. Oops. Let me copy paste this for the next one. And the next due, 12 months. Yeah, where are we? Here we go. Perfect. Save and add new. And now I'm going to paste in the 1 year, turn it into a 3 year. Next due, 36 months. So now, right, if I went to a patient, for example, and let me see if I can pull up a sample patient here. Oh, yes. Don't laugh. This is my wife's stuffed animal. She likes Poochy, so we're going with it. And we go ahead and we're going to add this to our little guy's record. And you can make fun of me. You can make fun of me of this at NAVC if you like, but it's okay. I'm comfortable with my masculinity. My wife loves it. That's all that matters. And I'm going to put in, the defensor, right? 1 or 3 years. I guess Poochy's a permanent puppy, right? So he gets a 1 year, and I already have an open invoice, print rabies certificate as an action. I hit next. It gives me, right, all the injections remain, all the lot numbers, everything that's remaining. So if you remember, it said 310 on hand, which is true, but right, we haven't divided up by lot numbers. So right, Vetter has added this feature recently. We have all the lot numbers showing. So it's this specific lot number, right? It's always going to pull in kind of first in, first out. Due to expire the 15th, it'll pull from here. Here are the remaining ones, right? So all there. So anyhow, I'm going to hit save and done. And I can put the tag number in, right? And hit save and done. And now, right, Poochy's going to have a 12-month reminder right here. Boom, good to go. I come back to here, right? I look at sales, and Poochy's sale will be right there. Now, boom, boom, boom. 1 and 3 year, okay? Now, it's what's going to happen is as soon as let me go ahead and refresh this really quickly. I want to refresh the show where I prove the current balance goes down by 1. I always want to make sure everything's working. So another little trick here with actions. So let's take a look at I'm sorry, this is my internet at home here, is being non-cooperative. Glad I live in San Francisco with all this great internet service. Look at actions. So it inherited any action. So we have a low balance alert, print certificate alert. Now let's say we wanted to create multiple tiered reminders, right? So here's a little trick. So if I say a new action, usually I'm able to, right, add extra reminders. But all of a sudden, I don't see any here. Okay? Now, what you want to do, you're wondering why. What is wrong? Yes, we have automatic, default reminders set up for the 2 children. But if I want to add tiered reminders, right, extra ones, I have to do a little trick here. And I'm going to, the software, because it sees none for next due, it's not going to let me create actions to create more reminders. Little trick here. We come in here and we just hit next due. Doesn't make a difference. Any item, whatever. Just put a day, any count. 1 day. Now, this item will never be sent out as a reminder. The parent never will, because you're not adding it to the parent record. I'm sorry, to the patient record. You're only adding, right, the 1 year or the 3 year option. I hit save and done. But with this little trick, or hack as I like to call it, it allows you now to add more reminders. So for example, rabies vaccinations, very important. I have a default reminder in inventory, in settings, right, for 1 week prior. They get an email. But you're like, this is important. I want them to get an email, 1 month prior before it's due. And I want them to also get a, let's say, get another reminder. Let's get an email, 2 weeks before it's due. And just because, they might be millennials and need to be reminded even more, let's add a text option, let's say 2 days prior to the appointment. Okay? So now what this means is that, hey, let's say we're looking at the 36-month, right, 3-year option. That means they're going to get, right, the default 1 week prior. That automatically gets sent out, and that's in settings. I have that set up there. And they're also going to get an email a month prior, 2 weeks prior, and a text 2 days prior. So you can leverage the parent, right, with a simple next to any date, any number, 1 day, 1 year, doesn't make a difference, and leverage that to create more actions. And then those will then be implemented for the children here, okay? One other thing you might want to do when you do the merges and create parents together is just to double check if there's might be any other random products out there whose reminders you might want to disable. And just, I'm looking here, are there any other Defensor products out there? No, we got them all together. Maybe your inventory, you have a lot of old items sitting around that might have reminders tied to them, and you don't want this to be confused with your new, right, parent-child creation. So you take a look. I got no other Defensor rabies. Now, maybe you have other rabies. Well, I have a lot because of, it's a demo account, but here's a way for you to look at and say, well, gosh, I don't know about this random rabies one here. Let's make sure that's disabled. Generic rabies, I don't know about that one either, right? You get the idea. Let's make sure that's disabled. Oh, wait, I have a 10-dose tank option. I can always clean up inventory later, but this is just to make certain that nothing overlaps. And it's just, better safe than sorry. Okay? I'm going to pause here, take a look. That was a lot. See if there's any questions. Ooh, I must be doing well, or I'm really boring. That's where one of you chats in and says I'm doing well. So this is an overview of the uses. And again, we get people always calling us about that. So I wanted to, cover this again, review it from time to time. One other thing, whenever we build features in Vetter, we always build right. First, we build the viable product. What's going to accomplish the most in the shortest amount of time it takes to build something. And then we add enhancements. So the enhancement that everyone's been asking for, which we already started building, is separate pricing. So later this year, you're going to see, for the children, you're going to see not just the option of when it's next due, but also to have separate tiered pricing. We built what's most important first. Most clinics price these the same. If not, right, we're adding that feature to allow you to have also individualized pricing within the same item, okay? Now, if you do have individual, right, prices, One thing you can always do is, you can essentially add a fee to this. And let's just say, well, for whatever reason, the 3-year is more expensive, right? And I don't know, I've created this in advance. Let's say it's an injection fee. Okay. And if you want to charge more for one versus the other, and in fact, you know what? Let me make this more realistic. That's just kind of too easy to do. Let's go to inventory and let's create a fee. Let's call it the Defensor 3-year rabies, whatever you want to call it, injection fee. We're not going to put it on Invoice, just because we know how, well, when you go to the airlines, you got to pay fees. I always say, I wish they would just charge me $25 more on the ticket instead of billing me at the time to check in my bag. Perception matters. And we've all been there and you understand. And let's just say this is, $10 more. Maybe you have to store them longer, right? Storage costs, etc. I get it. Let's save and done. Now, what I'm going to do is I can do this a couple different ways, right? I can add oops, I'm sorry, that's my mistake. Let me go back to the Defensor item itself. We can do this a couple different ways. We can add the fee right in here. Okay, boom. Or we can also, always add it at the time of invoicing. So this is something, though, your staff would have to be aware of. Depends on how you want to do it, because you don't want to add that fee to the 1-year option, right? So if I come to here and I want to, let's say, edit this, let's take a look at this, editing this record here. It's not, the price here is for the 1 year. Now, if I went ahead and gave it the, let's say, the 3-year, right here, it's going to show the $10 fee. So right now it shows up on both, right? That's the thing. So if I have this here now with the fee, okay, it's going to show up on the invoice, extra $10. I hit save. And it's something that your staff would have to be aware of at the time of checkout. So if I go to this invoice here and, take a quick look at this. I know why I made a mistake. I've already created this invoice. And that's my mistake here. I'm sorry. I already created this invoice. I can't edit it with the fee after the fact like that. I can come in here. So sorry, had I done this correctly, the fee would have shown up the first time. But what we have here normally would show up like this, right? And then your staff would be able to come in and remove this, right? Or the other way to do it, like I said, the other way to do it is not add the fee to the item. You just have the fee sitting out there, right? So for example, let's just say I'm going to start a new invoice. That's how I should have done it in the beginning. I start a new invoice here, and I take this, Zehner guy. Where am I? Here we go. And I'm going to take Poochy here. I hit next. And just for any item I can create the fee and not tie it to the item. I just wanted to show you both ways to do it. One, you can remove it. One, you can add it. I can add a fee to anything. And I could just come to here. Okay, well, this already has a dispensing fee. I could come to here and say, there's the Defensor fee, right? So it all depends on how you want to do it. You can add the fee in at the time of the record, right? Or you can have it attached to the item and then remove it at the time of checkout. And that's just one way to be able to right now, let's say, balance different costs between items. We will have that feature, though, later in the year, but I just like to give everybody as many options as possible, and they'll actually say cost here. Okay. I hope that made sense. Oh, I have a question. Yay. Or lot number. Yes, you can do it that way too. And this is actually, oh, I see what iShine's asking. I assume this means to have the lot number listed here too. You know, that's actually, in terms, I guess, it's a feature request. Well, you see, that's just to give you an idea. I assume iShine asked or lot number. I assume that meant to have the lot number shown here. Now, understand though, the difficulty of that is if I have multiple purchases with lot numbers, as you can see, I have all these lot numbers here, right? It's going to make it really difficult to show that here. That's why we show the lot numbers right at the time of creating the record. I hope I interpreted that question correctly from iShine. If I didn't, just let me know. Right now, if anybody wants to, you know, I'm more or less done. If anyone would like to open their mic up, ask me questions directly, that's fine. I see the chat. Oh, when you go, oh, sorry, when you go under the sales tab from iShine. No, you didn't. Oh, I see. Showing the lot number under the sales tab. You know what? Oh, okay. Thank you, iShine, for clarifying. You know what? That's a good idea. I see what you mean. Lot number under sales history. And that's actually a good idea because you'd have to, otherwise, if you really wanted to see the lot number, you'd have to go right to the invoice item, open the item up, right, go into it, then go ahead and find the lot number here. That's an extra 2 clicks. Not efficient. I can clearly see what you're saying, iShine. Adding it here to the sales tab. That's a good idea. Let me run that up the flagpole with the boss and see what he has to say. Thank you for clarifying. That makes sense. Yes, I got the yes. And I have a question from Katie. Katie, I got your email. I'll respond to that one separately. And I'll go ahead and I'll respond to you separately there offline for that. Okay. I wonder, are there any other questions for inventory uses? If not, the recording I'm sorry, the session is recorded. I will go ahead and make it available in the customer community a little later today. And I hope to see some of you guys at VMX, as they call it now in Orlando, or in a month in Vegas for WVC. But you're always welcome to buy me an adult beverage in the hotel lounge. iShine, another question. Yes, go. Feel free to unmute your mic if it's easier.
Hey, Matt.
Hi.
Can you turn your mic on? It's Michelle from iShine. I have a question regarding inventory for you. So is there any way when we are looking at, hold on, let me get to the screen so I can properly ask this question, sorry. Okay, so you know how you can go to an order that is submitted and essentially kind of view the items that you ordered from that particular order.
Correct.
Is there a way to just create a new receipt from that versus having to then go to the receipt tab, create a new receipt, pick the order number you want to create the receipt for?
Okay. So let me ask you that. Thank you. So the answer is no. But let me ask you this: from whom are you ordering?
So we order from different vendors. So we order from Patterson, a compounding pharmacy, Midwestern Veterinary Supply. Like I said, there's various other vendors, and the only one that's like integrated with Better is Patterson. Is the only one that we're doing that for. So there's usually like in a given week, we can have, you know, several different vendors that we've placed orders for. Right. So we can keep tabs on what we've ordered. So we've kind of been creating false orders, if you will,
Understood.
for those that aren't even integrated with the system.
No, correct.
So it kind of makes it a little bit of a pain to kind of see where we ordered the product from, because there's, like I said, it's not like we only order this one supply from this vendor. It's kind of like, who can we get the best pricing for?
Sure. Okay, sure. So as a general rule of thumb, when I train clinics, the purchase order receipt process is pretty much only beneficial if you're using our integrations with Patterson, MWI, and Victor. We'd like to integrate with Shine, but Shine refuses to do so because they're the competition. I don't know why. If you guys have Shine, anybody has Shine out there, tell your reps to let us integrate with Shine, and we'd have them on the platform too. But that's an aside. This is most effective if you're using just the integration. If you're ordering from a non-integration, like Nesco, Midwest Vet, right, Miller, Shine, etc., I always recommend go directly to the item itself. This is the fastest way to do it. Just go to the item itself and enter the purchase order right here.
Well, we have been doing that on some, but it's more of like if the person in charge of the inventory then goes on vacation. We have, like I said, the reason why we create these false orders, even though we can't submit it directly to the vendor because they're not integrated with Vetter. It's the more of keep tabs that, oh, we did have that on order, so I shouldn't order it again.
Right. I understood. And that is actually the optimal way to do it. That means you guys are doing it right. It takes a little bit more time. But there's not a way to add a receipt from here. They're separate functions. You just have to go to here, receipt, right, new receipt, and post it accordingly. So you're hoping in an ideal world, if I get this right, if I understand correctly, you would hope, let's say, that there should be a button, for example, like let's say right here, there would be a button that says create receipt from here.
That would be, yes, because there's the receipt button. So if you click on that, there's really nothing there other than if you were to have already created a receipt. So would it be that much more difficult if I clicked the receipt tab there to just say create new receipt if one hasn't been created, or have that summary?
I'm writing this down. You know what? That's bottom line is that saves clicks. I can see that. You're right. Simply put, it saves clicks. You are, I will say this to your credit, you're one of the few clinics out there that does it this thoroughly. Your owner will be very happy. Most people, we all know, and that includes all of you listening, most people, they're a little bit more haphazard with their inventory management. Since you're doing it for every order, you're doing it the right way, I clearly can see there should be no reason why it doesn't say add new receipt here, and then it just takes you over to the receipt screen. It would save you clicks. Michelle, I will suggest this to the product team. I think it's an excellent idea.
Thank you.
Thank you for elaborating that. And all of you learn from Michelle. and iShine. Keep good. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Michelle, I'll get back to you with these. And everyone, have a great rest of the day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.